Hello, beautiful, blessed beings. Natasha Monique here, and this is episode 3 of Miss Know-It-All. I stay having a little in my throat that keeps happening, but it's not going to stop me from speaking my truth. So we talked about, in episode 1, about politicians being able to blatantly lie to us, tied into the First Amendment. Then we talked about libel laws in episode 2, where they tied again into the First Amendment. So I figured, let's dissect the First Amendment. Like, what is the First Amendment really about? So as stated in the Constitution of the United States of America, that's where I went to, 1789, this is revised 1992, what I found. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. Let's stop there. Alright. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. So that means in the United States of America, we cannot have a law saying that we all have to be Christian. We all have to be this. We all have to be that. We all have to abide by this one religion. That's our separation of church and state. So then, reading that first line, that first little bit of the First Amendment, why is it then that Congress people, a lot of times mainly Republicans, have a problem with other Congress people swearing in on something other than the Bible? I don't understand that. Because if Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, that means we are all free to express whatever religion we want. And that's the next part. So Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. So we may all exercise whatever religion or non-religion or spiritual path we see fit, and Congress shall make no laws prohibiting us from doing such. So why is it that laws are made from people who make them based on their religious beliefs? Why do we have that? That's just a question that pops into Miss Know-It-All's head, because, I don't claim to know it all. Someone who says they actually know everything, they don't know shit, because to know it all is to be curious and to ask questions and to understand that you don't know everything, so you need to learn things. You're open to learn. Let's continue. So, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech. Abridging the freedom of speech. So that's saying that we basically can say whatever we want to say. Now, of course, then that ties into libel laws. But the caveat, the connection to this is, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press. So the press is protected in being able to do proper due diligence in journalism and reporting on that. However, in this modern age, we have programs that say that they're news programs and that they're protected by the First Amendment. They're protected by this. They're protected by or abridging the freedom of speech or the press. So you can say you're the press and you're protected by these few little words. And you can say whatever you want to say and influence all of America based on your opinion. And it doesn't have to be fact, because, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press. So you can report on it. Doesn't matter if it's true. You have the right to say it. Next bit. So we have Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or the right of the people peacefully to assemble That's our right to protest right there. Our right to say what you're saying is fucking bullshit. So I'm coming at that ass and saying, yeah, that ain't right. We can peacefully protest. Peacefully. We have the right to do that in the First Amendment. Now, what happens is when there is a peaceful protest and those particular people look a certain way, because of the abridging the freedom of speech or the press, people can now go and say what they want about that peaceful protest and have no repercussions. They can falsely report on it, and that's fine. They can say that this group caused so much mayhem, and really they didn't, and say that this group, no, they really didn't do anything, and really they're starting an insurrection of the Capitol. And because all of that speech is protected, it can be said. It can be spoken. So even the right of the people peacefully to assemble is open to interpretation by the people who are giving the news. And they're protected by prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press. Because even with Congress shall make no laws respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, you can still speak that your opinions and tie it into are, oh, their religion, you're not supposed to. It's unconstitutional to connect religion and politics, but it's done all the time. So that right that we have to peacefully assemble can be misinterpreted and is misinterpreted and does get misinterpreted. So the last bit, and to petition the government. This is something that we just ignore because it's the last bit. And to petition the government for a redress of grievances. And to petition the government for a redress of grievances. I'm going to say that again. And to petition the government for a redress of grievances. That means when our government is not taking care of us properly, we have the right to say, hey, either by our speech or by our right to peacefully assemble and say, hey, you're not taking care of us. You're making laws and things that adversely affect me and my family. I have the right to tell you about these grievances. That's the part of the First Amendment that we do not exercise enough. That when our politicians that we just blindly vote for, because remember, we're voting for people based on how much we hate the other guy. We're not basing it on how much faith we have in the person we're voting for. We base it on how much we hate the other guy. Because of no one sues for libel laws and all of these political ads are protected by the First Amendment and they're able to say whatever they want to say, it's up to us to make an informed decision about who we trust and who we can't trust, even though everyone's allowed to lie to us. Like, if they're allowed to lie to us, but we're just supposed to discern who's lying and who's not lying. We're just supposed to hone into our intuition so much so that I guess it's just whoever is lying to us in a way that we like, who's telling us lies we want to hear, that's the person we vote for. I guess that's how America works. So now, the main tenets of the First Amendment are: it protects speech, religion, press, assembly, and the right to petition the government. We do not petition the government enough. There is no age or citizen requirement for you to exercise your freedom of speech, your First Amendment rights in the United States of America. You basically have to be on soil. You have to be here. It applies to everyone who is in the United States, whoever is here. So all of those immigrants that have been here, you have First Amendment rights and you deserve to be heard. And you deserve to petition the government. And saying that the government is not treating you properly and within the guidelines of UN humanitarian provisions, you have the right to say that the government is not doing that. That is your right under the First Amendment. So now, we're supposed to educate ourselves enough properly to make informed decisions of whom we vote, of, who we cast our ballot for and all that good stuff. But that to me speaks about the value of the education system in the United States. And this is where Ms. Know-It-All gets the next question, is so how are we educating our children about U.S. government and about what is actually false and what's not false and how to not feed into propaganda? We're actually not. We're able to say anything, therefore we will believe anything. We believe who we like. So wherever we are, I've actually read textbooks in the South that say that when the Pilgrims came from where they came from, okay, when they came from Europe and Spain and everywhere and got to the United States, which was not yet called the United States there, but North America, what is now the United States, that, they were just distraught and cold and they needed help. And the natives there, the indigenous, said, okay, here, go ahead, take all the land and put us in these little parts of land and we'll teach you how to farm and all that, and you just take good care of yourselves and we'll just go quietly over here. There are actually Americans who believe that. There are Americans who believe that it was a favor that was being done to African Americans who were slaves, because they were better off here than they were in their towns and villages and cities in Africa where they were taken and sold. They were better off here. And that, no, America wasn't built off of free labor, that they did that willingly. They enjoyed doing that because they had such better living accommodations than when they were in the huts and grasslands in Africa. This is what is being taught. So how can we trust our children who grow up to be adults, who are then able to vote, to make informed decisions, when they'll believe whatever they're being told based on their religion, their color, their region, and if they're saying something that coincides with what they've already been taught? Okay? So now, we don't believe things based on facts. We believe them based on how we were raised and what we feel. In America, we never make informed decisions. We really don't. Our education, the curriculum from K to 12, our public school, is regulated and dictated by the American government. Our American government is and has been racist since the inception of the American government. It was racist then. It is racist now. You can put as many people of color as you like in the cabinet and in Congress, but until laws change, until judicial changes, until we have equality, it is a racist country. That's where we live in. We live in a country where white is right and black deserves to be shot. That's where we live. That's just what it is. So, our schools are regulated by the U.S. government. They approve what can be taught. And in the South, there are some crazy shit that can be approved to be taught, like I talked about. Because the schools, they're regulated by the government, but not the federal government. It's the state government that regulates what can be done in the states. Now, the federal government just has control of how much allocation can go to each school. And see, all of this has me thinking about episode 4. We're going to be talking about American education. So you can teach your own version of history in whatever state you're in, is what I'm just saying about that. We're going to dig deeper into the American education system in the next episode. So now, the spiritual effects of that. We will never change without acceptance and forgiveness. That means that, one, we need to say that we are a broken country, rooted in racism and basking in that racism. We need to accept that yes, this country was started, founded, and built on racist laws, and it still to this day holds true to a lot of racist and discriminatory laws. We need to understand and accept that. That's what it is. Then we need to forgive ourselves for it. We need to move past the past through forgiveness. Once we accept that that's how we were, now we can say, all right, we forgive ourselves for that, and make a commitment to then change. Because you don't want to change if you think things were never fucked up. If you don't accept that there was a problem back then you will never commit to changing said problem. You have to admit that, yeah, shit was fucked up. Then you can say, okay, we can change it. So yes, we have the right to say whatever we want to whoever we want to an extent, because we have libel laws. And again, libel laws were created to compensate the victim, not punish the offender. So basically, people can say whatever they want to say, and if you feel like you were wronged by somebody's speech, you can get monetary compensation if you can prove discrimination or slander through libel laws. Easier for that to be done with a private citizen than with a public figure, and public figures such as politicians choose to not even be bothered with the rigmarole, because by the time all of it goes through the courts, the election's going to be over and the damage is already done. People have already heard the ads and they've already sunken it in, and they've already made their decision about who they want to vote for, and it doesn't even matter. So that's why politicians don't even bother to sue for libel laws. So then the government says everyone can say whatever they want in accordance to politicians, and it's up to us to make an informed decision. But then our education is regulated by the government, so what are they really teaching? Like, what are they really teaching in K through 12, in public schools in America? What type of history and civics are they teaching? What type of African American history are they teaching? What type of immigration teaching? What type of immigration laws are they teaching? What type of laws about the KKK and white supremacist groups are they teaching in the public school systems? I bet you a bunch of that is whitewashed, where white is right and black deserves to get shot. A lot of that is most likely going on. So are we to obey or to think freely? We can think freely when we're properly informed, of all the sides. That goes all the way back to episode 1 with that fair doctrine, okay? Where we're just allowed, and I want to make sure, the fairness doctrine. I knew I wasn't saying that right. I knew it wasn't the fair doctrine. The fairness doctrine. Like, we need that to be reinstated. We need to make our newscasters and the people who are reporting on things that are going on in the world, we need to make them be accountable so that we can all make informed decisions about how to vote and how to go forward and educate ourselves. So next, I've got to dig deeper into the education system, K through 12, public schools. I love you all so much, and please drop in the comments if there is something that you want to know about. Miss Know-It-All does not claim to know it all. I do research. You do research too, and pay attention to the sources that you're using for research. I love you all so much. Thank you all for tuning in. Peace, love, and blessings. Mwah.